Dear students, good morning. Let us start the discussion on today's newspaper, that is 14th March 2018. The first article that is related to French connections. You know that President Emmanuel Macron is visiting India. So, various agreements are signed between India and France. The important among them are joint vision statement on the Indian Ocean region. Next is there is a partnership with regard to International Solar Alliance is concerned, and there is a most important agreement in defense, that is reciprocal logistical support agreement, where both the defense forces will be exchanging information and also logistical arrangements with each other. Now, let us trace the origins of this relationship and how they stand solid today. You know, in 1998, the India and France, they have come together for an agreement, and that agreement is called the Strategic Partnership Agreement. There are many synergies between India and France. Now, in the Europe, the country which stood with India in all the testing times, that is France. Today, the relationship got diversified into many sectors. We can broadly look into defense, space, and then energy. So, with regard to defense, we are buying Scorpion submarines, Rafale aircrafts from the France. And we're also conducting Varuna exercises. As I said to you before, the reciprocal logistical arrangement is made with the France. And coming to space, France has helped India to build a rocket launch station in Sriharikota and also to develop its liquid engine. And coming to energy, I am dividing this into nuclear energy and other renewable energies. So with regard to nuclear energy, India is going to establish largest nuclear reactor place in Jaitapur in Maharashtra. And French company Arriva is going to build that. And coming to renewable energy, India and France are the partners in International Solar Alliance, and they have committed 1.4 and 1.3 billion dollars respectively for this. So in this context, there are common synergies or convergence points between India and France. If you take Indian Ocean region, there are many islands for the France, and these islands makes France to have the second largest exclusive economic zone. And the resurgence or assertiveness of China in Indian Ocean region is a headache for both France and also to India. So they have to collectively act together over there. And the next, after Brexit, is UK is going to stand as an entry point to India, and Indian business is a major question, because we need to have another entry point to engage with the European Union. So the France expects that to be it. And second aspect, India-France business is not as big as India-UK or India-Germany. So we need to encourage the France and India business further. And second aspect, tourism and student movement. Indian students mostly move to the English-speaking population, and if we compare ourselves with China with regard to the students moving to France, we are much lower than them. So there are specific targets now towards increasing the tourists and also students moving between India and France. That is going to be a positive development. Now, coming to the other areas, an urgent prescription. It is about the pharmaceutical industry. Now, entire pharma industry is dominated by private sector. Previously, we had IDPL. Now, most of these IDPL units are closed. Dr. Reddy's, NATCO, these are the various companies which are coming in and manufacturing in India. So, there are certain concerns. Here we need to understand certain words, that is called compulsory licensing. What does that mean? If there is an essential drug and it is protected under patent, then we can go for compulsory licensing. Our government can issue compulsory licensing to any of the company, either in India or abroad, to produce and supply the drug to us. So the compulsory licensing, it bypasses the existing patent obligations. And then we have moved from process patent to product patent. So in this product patent, compulsory licensing is a way out to give essential drugs to the people. So, in these circumstances, an urgent prescription, what this says is, many of the private companies are not willing to produce the drugs under compulsory licensing for the reason that it involves an extensive litigation with the parent company. And second, private companies they need some standard price controls. It means in a competitive market, if the government is also producing the drugs or public sector companies producing the drugs, they can act as a standard how much the price can be. If there is an exorbitant increase in the prices by the private sector, these can act as a leveler. And the third thing, India can also be a hub for exporting the drugs which are under compulsory licensing from other countries. Because if Nepal has an emergency, it has created a compulsory licensing for some drug which is patented. It can get it imported from India, manufactured by an Indian company, and get it imported from India. So, because of these reasons, we need to have the public sector presence. And there is another compelling reason. We are importing most of the active pharma ingredients from China. So, because of this, it can prove to be dangerous in case of a war or disturbance with that country. We need to develop our self-sufficiency with active pharmaceutical ingredients. So from this perspective, the public sector capacities in the production of the drugs need to be improved. A model protest. You know, the Maharashtra farmers have protested for increase in minimum support price and to provide for titles over their land, especially from the tribals. And the third thing, to give or extend the loan waivers to all the farmers. But unlike with like regular protests which are filled with violence and sloganeering, it is a very silent protest, a long march of more than 200 kilometers. That clearly shows how the protests have to be in the future. If you see early days after independence, the farmer movements are very strong. Even in 1970s, the Janata built over the farmer movements. The Chaudhary Charan Singh, especially from Western UP, he was the leader of the farmer and their concerns. But however, most of the farmer movements of the earlier days, these were focused on the land-owning farmers rather than on landless agricultural laborers. This movement is more broad-based because it involves the landless, tribals, and also the marginal farmers. So it is important by its composition and by its style. And the second aspect, the rural distress always influenced the political outcomes. If you see in Gujarat election, there is a clear distinction of voting behavior in the rural and urban areas. And the rural distress is seen clearly now in Punjab, Haryana, Madhya Pradesh, and most of the southern states too. Unless the governments over there give due importance to it, then the rural distress is going to be soon defining the political landscape. That's what we can state it as. Fire in the woods. It is about recent fire accident in which almost 11 people killed in a forest. So remember, in adventure sport, how it has to be conducted. There has to be clear protocols, standardized procedures such as giving permissions and evacuation procedures, standard communication equipments with the trekkers. All these are essential. In India, the tourism, if it has to be developed, the concern for the safety has to increase. Unlike other countries, the threshold for safety in India is very low. That's what this article states. Now, it was not a Sinhala Muslim clash, it was a mob attack on Muslims. It is about recent attacks in Sri Lanka against Muslims by the Sinhala. So, the divisive politics will not have an end. Once the politics starts playing with the social divisions, it will not take a peaceful end. That is what is my statement again. So, it is proven in Sri Lanka. Previously, the minorities, Tamil-speaking linguistic minorities were the target. Now the religious minorities have become the target of the majority. So, there is a displacement of the group, but the hatred which has been imbibed into the majority group is still continuing there. So that's the point. Anywhere polarization starts, it always ends with violence. The next is Aadhaar link deadline extended indefinitely. So you know that the constitutional bench of the Supreme Court is hearing the constitutional validity of Aadhaar, and now this linking of Aadhaar to bank accounts, phone numbers, this is extended indefinitely by the Supreme Court. Supreme Court shuts the door on foreign law forms. You know, India is aspiring to become a hub for international arbitration. How it can become a hub for international arbitration? By openly allowing for foreign law firms and foreign lawyers to arbitrate in India. So, by pouring water on this, the Supreme Court's judgment clearly states no foreign lawyer or firm can practice in India. Either it is litigation or non-litigation related matters. They can take forward the international arbitration, but it has to be within the limit of code of conduct followed by the lawyers in India. It shall be subjected to the same code of conduct Indian lawyers are subjected to. And the third thing is, so the foreign firms or foreign lawyers, these are, suppose these cannot permanently exist in India. These have to fly in and fly out. And the necessary rules for this fly in and fly out will be decided by Bar Council of India. So this is the news over here. Next is Supreme Court ruling closes center's options. As I said to you, the center was looking at making India as a center for international arbitration. As of now, Singapore, London, these are the centers for international arbitration. Probably this judgment is going to be a death blow to it. That is what we can say it as. Next, Tillerson and I had disagreements, that is the Trump. What is the democracy? Imposing one's judgment over the other? R is about debate, discussion, contestation, compromise. Is this about these? Or one leader dominating the entire group and imposing his will on the group? This can happen in the presidential system. So, if you compare the presidential and parliamentary systems, parliamentary system shows greater accountability. Now, unlike this, the President Trump and his administration in US is saying there is a regular revamp and regular instability. So that shows lack of coherence in the administration in the United States of America. The notes is given in the last page, which will be available in laix.in/CivilsPrep. Thank you very much and all the best.